Law of peace. Righteousness, meaning people must treat each other fairly. What did the great law of peace do? A council meeting was called, and HIAWATHA presented the great law of peace. It united the VE nations into a League of Nations, or the Iroquois Confederacy, and became the basis for the Iroquois Confederacy Constitute. What were the two principles of the great law of peace? Righteousness, meaning people must treat each other fairly. Each individual must have a strong sense of justice, must treat people as equals, and must enjoy equal protection under the great law. Health. Health means that the soundness of mind, body, and spirit will create a strong individual. What did the great law of peace say? The Iroquois Great Law of Peace was a constitution that established a democracy between 5 Iroquois-speaking tribes: the Seneca, Cayuga, Oneida, Onondaga, and Mohawk. This group of 5 nations, called the Iroquois Confederacy, was established around 1450. When was the Great Law of Peace? Each nation or tribe plays a delineated role in the conduct of government. The Iroquois claim the events date back to the late 12th century, around 1190, while some Western scholars suggest a later date of 1451 AD. What does the Tree of Peace symbolize? Trees have been important spiritual symbols in many human cultures. Evergreens often symbolize immortality and eternal life because they retain their leaves throughout the winter. To the Iroquois people, the white pine is a symbol of the great peace that united their separate nations into an enduring league. What was the Great Binding Law? The Iroquois Great Binding Law, sometimes called the Great Law of Peace, was recorded on a wampum belt. This refers to small cylindrical beads made with shells, strung together and worn as a decorative belt, used as money or arranged in patterns to convey the meaning of treaties or agreements. What was the symbolism of the 5 arrows? 5 arrows shall be bound together very strong, and each arrow shall represent one nation. As the 5 arrows are strongly bound, this shall symbolize the complete union of the nations. Thus are the 5 nations united completely and enfolded together, united into one head, one body, and one mind. What is the first principle of the Great Peace? And the first principle was peace, the second was equity and justice, and the third one was the power of the good minds. And that's great power, but it's a collective power. Why did Hiawatha join the Peacemaker? Due to the fact that he had a severe speech impediment, the great Peacemaker needed a spokesperson. Hiawatha was willing to speak on behalf of Decanada because violence had been developing throughout the Iroquois territory. What did Hiawatha do? Hiawatha is an important figure in the pre-colonial history of the Haudenosaunee, Iroquois, of present-day southern Ontario and upper New York, ca 1400 to 1450. He is known most famously for uniting the five nations Seneca, Cayuga, Onondaga, Oneida, and Mohawk into a political confederacy. What is the League of Five Nations? The original Iroquois League was often known as the Five Nations, as it was composed of the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, and Seneca nations. After the Tuscarora Nation joined the League in 1722, the Iroquois became known as the Six Nations. What impact did the Great Law of Peace have on the United States Constitution? That Constitution, the Great Law of Peace, the Great Law, provided for federalism, separation of powers, equitable distribution of wealth, accountability of elected officials, freedom of assembly, speech, and religion, and a system of natural rights that influenced thinkers like Benjamin Franklin, Jean-Jacques. What is the emblem of peace called? The dove. The dove has been a symbol of peace and innocence for thousands of years in many different cultures. Why was the Great League of Peace created? Over the course of centuries, the Six Nations of Iroquois speakers, in the region comprised today by the state of New York, formed a great league of peace and power in order to preserve good relations among their communities. What is a color of peace? Blue, peace, tranquility, cold, calm, stability, harmony, unity, trust, truth, confidence, conservatism, security, cleanliness, order, loyalty, sky, water, technology, depression, appetite suppressant. Turquoise symbolizes calm. Who owns the rights to war and peace? Liberty Fund Incorporated. The Rights of War and Peace, 2005 ed. 3 volumes. The copyright to this edition, in both print and electronic forms, is held by Liberty Fund Incorporated. Who is the father of international law? Hugo Grotius. Hugo Grotius, from Leiden student to founding father of international law. Why is War and Peace famous? War and Peace is known for its realism, something Tolstoy achieved through intensive research. He visited battlefields, read history books on the Napoleonic Wars, and drew on real historical events to create a novel of living history. What is just war international law? Just war, notion that the resort to armed force, jus ad bellum, is justified under certain conditions. Also, the notion that the use of such force, jus in bello, should be limited in certain ways. What is the moral of war and peace? War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy, 1869, provides a broad panorama of Russian society against the backdrop of the 1812 Napoleonic Army's invasion. Two key themes in the novel are spirituality in the main characters and family happiness as the ultimate reward for spiritual suffering. What's the meaning of war and peace? War and Peace delineates in graphic detail events surrounding the French invasion of Russia, and the impact of the Napoleonic era on Tsarist society, as seen through the eyes of 5 Russian aristocratic families. What is meant by peace talk? A series of formal discussions between 2 or more nation-states or groups of people held to resolve existing conflict between them. What is meant by peace talk? Why is it important? The Peace Talks is a global platform dedicated to telling and sharing inspirational stories for peace. Harnessing the power of storytelling, the Peace Talks creates a space encouraging dialogue, reflection, and inspiring hope. What are some steps in peace process? Such processes include official and unofficial mediation, dialogue, peacekeeping, peacemaking, peacebuilding, and much more. Other processes are direct approaches, ones carried out by the parties themselves without outside intervention. Is peace possible in today's world? While communities have formed networks of mutual support, many of the institutions mandated to support them have failed to fully harness and amplify the wealth of capacities and support structures that already exist. What are the benefits of peace? Peace of mind, which is inner peace, offers countless benefits. Better concentration ability. Efficiency in handling your daily affairs of life. A sense of inner strength and power. More patience, tolerance, and tact. Freedom from stress, anxieties, and worries. A sense of inner happiness and bliss. How is peace made? A peace must be seen at least in 2 forms, a simple silence of arms, absence of war. Absence of war accompanied by particular requirements for the mutual settlement of relations, which are characterized by terms such as justice, mutual respect, respect for law and goodwill. Is peace a process or a goal? Peace is a process, not a goal. The job of national reconciliation and national reconstruction is not for the leaders alone. It must be carried out in every neighborhood, village, and hamlet of the nation. What is a peace agreement called? A peace treaty is an agreement between 2 or more hostile parties, usually countries or governments, which formally ends a state of war between the parties. Is there peace without war? Peace, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, is the absence or the end of war. So on one level, peace is a negative concept. It cannot exist without war, just as death is a meaningless concept without life. Can positive peace be achieved? Positive peace means long-term, sustainable peace, which can only be achieved by addressing the deep-rooted causes of physical, as well as structural, violence. Simply eradicating surface-level violence, as opposed to neutralizing it, will never be enough to leave the conflict zone better than it was before. Who said we need peace in the world? United Nations General Secretary Antonio Guterres on Saturday paid tribute to Mahatma Gandhi on the occasion of his 152nd anniversary and said the world should heed his message of peace and usher in a new era of trust and tolerance. Hatred, division, and conflict have had their day. What is the universal symbol of peace? Doves. This makes doves great global and universal symbols of peace. The most common and widespread native dove in North America is the mourning dove. Where is the world peace? However, the changing economic conditions in many nations increases the likelihood of political instability and violent demonstrations. Iceland remains the most peaceful country in the world, a position it has held since 2008. It is joined at the top of the index by New Zealand, Denmark, Portugal, and Slovenia. What is peace in life? Living a peaceful life is about being in harmony with yourself and the surrounding world. Peace begins from within, and once your mind is at ease, you will start to see the harmonious effects in everything that surrounds you. Being at peace doesn't mean you have a perfect life. What makes you feel at peace? Inner peace comes from knowing your beliefs and the willingness to act according to them. It takes mental muscle to do that. Fortunately, everyone has the ability to practice mental strength exercises every day. The more mental muscle you build, the easier it is to find true contentment in life. What happens when you are peaceful? When you have peace of mind, you might feel at ease within yourself. A sense of self-compassion, unruffled by day-to-day worries. How do you spread peace? Along with your membership to MBBI, here are 25 ways you can make the world more peaceable. Write a blog about promoting peace. Write articles for a newspaper/newsletters. Post on social media promoting peace. Attend a peace rally. Invite a peace speaker to your event, workplace, and/or community. How can I promote peace at home? Easy ways to make your home more peaceful. Think of the place you love most. It's a simple idea, think of where you're happiest, and bring elements of that place into your home. Build in some calm. Get extra cozy. Add some green. Put down the tech. Make it smell great. Turn up the tunes. Make room to meditate. What are the two types of peace? Generally, peace is classified into two types, internal peace and external peace. What are the 5 levels of peace? Additionally, these concepts illuminate at least 5 interrelated and interdependent spheres of peace and right relationships that need to be nurtured toward the full development of the peace builder: the personal, the social, the political, the institutional, and the ecological. What is peace in simple words? One, freedom or a period of freedom from public disturbance or war. 2. A quiet and calm state of mind. 3. Agreement and harmony among people. 4. An agreement to end a war. What is peace and order? Peace and order is an occurrence of harmony characterized by the lack of violence, conflict behavior, and the freedom from fear of violence. Commonly understood as the absence of hostility and retribution, Peace Woodlands Junior homework help suggest sincere attempts at reconciliation. What are the theories of peace? According to our proposed framework, lay theories of peace are based on the relative strengths of the 3 interpretations of peace mentioned above. Peace is the end of war. Negative peace, peace is harmonious relationships. Positive peace, and peace is justice, structural peace. What is difference between peace and conflict? As peace is a hypothetical construct, it is often easiest to define what peace is not, that is, conflict. Conflict is, from the Latin, to clash or engage in a fight, and occurs when 2 or more individuals or groups pursue mutually incompatible goals. What is the most famous treaty? The 5 most important treaties in world history. Treaty of Tordesillas, 1494. The Peace of Westphalia, 1648. The Treaty of Paris, 1783. The Congress of Vienna, 1814-15. Treaty of Versailles, 1919. Can a peace treaty be broken? To this end, peace treaty provisions tend to address common issues. Because provisions may be numerous and deal with many issues, they are often organized within the treaty, similar to other long documents. Many treaties are broken into parts, sections, chapters, and finally, articles. What happens when a treaty is broken? It is a part of the law of nations, that if a treaty be violated by one party, it is at the option of the other party, if innocent, to declare, in consequence of the breach, that the treaty is void. What caused the long peace? Major factors cited as reasons for the long peace have included the deterrence effect of nuclear weapons, the economic incentives towards cooperation caused by globalization and international trade, the worldwide increase in the number of democracies, the World Bank's efforts in reduction of poverty. Why is peace both negative and positive? It is negative because something undesirable stopped happening, e.g. the violence stopped, the oppression ended. Positive peace is filled with positive content such as restoration of relationships, the creation of social systems that serve the needs of the whole population, and the constructive resolution of conflict. Which is the most peaceful region in the world? According to the Global Peace Index 2021, Iceland was the most peaceful country in the world with an index value of 1.1. Do peace treaties work? Peace treaties continue to play an important role in today's international affairs. They continue to be an end goal for many nations, even in today's modern era of seemingly indeterminate war. As legal documents, they seem to offer clear voices in an otherwise complex landscape. Are we in an era of peace? It can be stated confidently that we live in the most peaceful era in the history of humankind. In other words, since the end of World War II, we have been living in the period dubbed by American historian John Lewis Gaddis as the Long Peace. For most of human history, human beings took war for granted. Is peace an absolute? Another concept goes even further, seeing peace as absolute harmony, serenity, or quietude, that is, as opposed to any kind of conflict, antagonistic or otherwise.